This is Winnie Jean-Pierre for another episode of Lawyers Have Souls Too. Guess what? We have a man to hear today. He is a pillar in my community.
Hi, Winnie. My name is Frandley Julien. I was born in Haiti. At some point, I got involved into politics in Haiti. I ran for the Senate in Haiti. It did not go well. This is when I decided perhaps I'm not in the right field. And this is when I came to the United States with the family. Since I was a little boy, I was attracted by the idea of defending the widow, the voiceless. We came with the kids. It was not easy. When I was working as a prosecutor, I tried to see my sons in the youngsters I was dealing with. Each time I would come in contact with a youngster, I said to myself, this could have been my son.
Hi, everyone. This is Winnie Jean-Pierre for another episode of Lawyers Have Souls Too. Guess what? We have a man to hear today. I know for the past couple episodes, the ladies have been killing it. I've finally had to convince somebody. I didn't have to convince him. He agreed to come on, and I am super excited to have him. He is a pillar in my community. As you guys know, I am Haitian, and we have a few things in common. Today, we are going to talk about him as a parent, his journey. We will talk about legacy. Once again, it's going to be a very authentic conversation. We'll share real stories, real feelings. I am super, super excited. Of course, I'm going to have him introduce himself. And let's go ahead and get started. Hi, friend. Welcome.
Hi, Winnie. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are.
Sure. My name is Frandley Julien. I was born in Haiti 50 years ago. This month, I celebrated my 50th birthday. I completed my primary studies up to grade schooling, all of my grade schooling in Haiti. I attended law school in Haiti for a year and a half. Then I quit. I went back to my hometown of Cap Haitian. I was involved in media. I did radio, television, and newspaper for a number of years, I think at least 12 years. And at some point, I got involved into politics in Haiti. There was a lot going on, and I decided that as a citizen, I needed to make my voice heard. Then I ran for the Senate in Haiti. It did not go well. And this is when I decided, you know what, this is an omen. Perhaps I'm not in the right field. And this is when I came to the United States with the family. At the time, I was 31. And, I love language. So communication in general. So what I did, I started at Miami-Dade College where I completed my AA. Then I went to FIU, the English department / honors college at FIU, where I completed a bachelor's degree in English Lit. And right after that, I went to law school at FIU. Upon graduation, I briefly worked as a prosecutor in Miami. Then I decided to start my own firm, and I've been doing this since then.
Oh my gosh. So listen, I like to have this conversation because I did not know that about you. Your whole journey is quite interesting. For those of you who don't know, obviously me and Frandley Julien, we have some things in common. We are both Haitian, born and raised. We'll talk a little bit about his journey in Haiti, and we are both attorneys. Hello. And then we are immigration attorneys. So let's dive into you being an attorney. What made you, I think you talked about it a little bit, what made you decide to become an attorney? And obviously, I know you studied in Haiti, you changed your mind, and then you came here. What was the shift? What happened?
I was born in Haiti where injustice is ubiquitous. Since I was a little boy, I never liked medical school. As you know, when you grow up in a traditional family, the choices were limited. Parents have expectations and your choices were limited. I did not like medical school. I could not have done engineering school because my math skills, you know, and, you know, most people who go to law school is because of math. And I was attracted by the idea of defending the widow, the voiceless. I've always been attracted by that. So this is why I had gone to law school in Haiti, but I did not stay long. It was in Port-au-Prince, and Port-au-Prince is a little bit chaotic. So when I came back to the United States, initially, initially, I wanted to complete a doctorate in literature. But there's a schism between the dream and reality. So at some point, raising a family, raising kids, and you have to bring food to the table. And I decided, okay, how do I take into account my skills? How do I find a compromise between what I really, really want to do and what I would enjoy doing? So you know how a lot of people have a plan A and a plan B, and usually most people go first with their plan A. If they fail, they fall back on their plan B. That's not what I did. Law school was my plan B, but my plan A has always been to be a writer. So what I said, I need to bring food to the table. I like the idea of defending the voiceless. So let me do my plan B. I'm pretty comfortable doing my plan B while I am working on my plan A. And I think it's been working perfectly because right now I think I'm pretty ready to go to my plan A without turning my back on my plan, going to my plan A now without turning my back on my plan B.
Got it. That's interesting. Yeah, you're right. I've never had anyone do it that way, but it seems like it's working out for you. So when can we expect the book?
There has been one book already. That was in 2017. I wrote a book. It was a technical book. This is when the U.S. government decided to apprehend senator in Haiti, namely Guy Philippe.
Uh-huh.
They brought him to the United States to stand judgment. And I started getting a lot of calls from people in government in Haiti, people in parliament. They were calling me because they could not find the basis, the grounds on which the U.S. action was predicated. And, each every day I had an interview on radio, TV, or I was receiving, calls from people in government who did not understand what was happening. And I said, you know what, I'm going to write a book on it. And the book is about extraordinary rendition,
Hmm.
this concept of international law, which is pretty particular to the United States. And so I called the book Les Non-Dits de l'affaire Guy Philippe. And it's in French. And, we sold a lot of these books, a lot of copies of this book. I went on a book tour in Haiti. I went on a book tour here. We went to Canada. That was the first book. But this is not where my love is. What I really want to do is fiction.
Oh, okay.
And, I'm starting to work on my first work pretty soon, I can say.
All right. Well, can't wait to read it. Now, let's talk about another thing that we have in common. This might be different for some people. I think, in my opinion, that we had kids very early. I had my daughter at 24, and then you had your first son at 23, right?
Yes, this is interesting. I remember my wife was pretty young when we met. She was 17 when she gave birth to our first son. and we were, young people in love, and we're gonna do what young people in love do. We decided, you know what, the only way parents are gonna agree for us to get married is for us to have a kid.
Wait. Step back. Wait. You going to agree? So this was planned?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
Before the guy was born, my eldest, before he was born, we decided, we're gonna have a kid because we want to be together. The first thing we did, we picked the name, and we got to work. And I remember I have a good friend of mine at the time. He was a senator in Haiti. He turned out to be our best man at the wedding. Told him, I said, man, do you think it's a good idea? We're in love and stuff. And he said, friendly, if you want to do it, do it. You know? And, we decided one morning we woke up and we said, you know what, we're getting married today. So I called the preacher. We put everything in place, and the marriage was the same day.
Okay, hold on. Were your parents are Haitian, right? This is wild to me. What?
Yeah, I know my father did not attend the marriage. He didn't like the idea. He did not.
What about your wife's parents? How did they feel about that?
Oh, her mother was supportive because she had met me a year before the marriage. She liked me and she said, you know what, if that's what you guys want to do, I trust you. And I think everything will turn out very well for you. And this is exactly what happened. It's been 27 years.
Yeah, not in this lifetime. Wow, that is such a beautiful story. I think that and obviously whenever you meet people, you know, there's fewer now than there were before. Obviously the new generation, things are kind of shifting for us, right? But I think whenever people hear, oh, they've been married for all this time, they just think like it's been like super easy. What? So being married so early, having kids so early, and going through life, career wise, how has that been for you and your wife, obviously?
It's first of all, on the one hand, it was not easy, particularly when we had to relocate. When we came to the United States, we came with the kids, and
Wait, how many kids did you have before you came here? You had all the boys or you had all of them?
two boys and one daughter.
Okay.
Two boys and a daughter, and then we ended up having a boy here.
Okay.
So when we came, it was not easy because you have to attend to the kids' needs. They had to attend schools. You wanted them to grow up in a decent neighborhood. We did not have the skills to be really gainfully employable in the United States. It took us some time to get there. So the beginning was pretty challenging. But on the other hand, it was also rewarding. Rewarding because and I think you can relate to this, you have the impression that because the age gap between you and the kids is relatively modest, you have a better relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
They feel closer to you. For instance, my kids, they call my mom mother. They call their mom Sarah. They call me Friendly.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that either. My daughter calls me Winnie, and it's the craziest thing. People would be offended, right? They would be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Winnie, I don't agree with that." And I said, well, you don't understand the dynamic. I had her when I was 24. My mom, and I don't know who helped you. Somebody had to help you and your wife because you guys were very young. My mom was really like the main person. My mom took care of the both of us, right?
Same here. Same here. My
So, yeah.
of it all. of it all.
Yes, so my daughter calls me Winnie, and I don't have a problem with that. But also, she calls me mom. You know, when she wants something, if we out in public, she calls me mom too. It's the weirdest thing, but I actually don't mind that. You know, I'm like, okay, it's Winnie.
I don't either. I think this is the way of conveying to you that I feel close to you. I don't feel, the age gap is not a problem because it's not a big one, you know. If I were to do it again, I would have done exactly the same thing. And right now, kids, boys, and the first boys, the daughter, everybody is graduated from college, and I'm just turned 50, seeing them find their way in life. You see what I mean? Witnessing this, there's no way you can do it if you didn't have them pretty early in life. It's not easy, but I think it's rewarding. This is a very interesting experience.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was the same for you. I always say two things, of course. If I were to do it over, I would do it the same way, meaning the age thing. My experience seems a little bit different from you, maybe because I'm a woman. I don't know. Maybe it's because of my family dynamic. People freaked out. Like when people find out I was pregnant, I was 24. I had a good job. I had a house. Like I was doing fine. But everybody act, and maybe parts of it has to do with me looking so young. I look extremely young. I was super tiny. So maybe they assume I was just a kid. But my situation was different. But I did, like you, I had the support of my mom. My mom has always been supportive. That is, my rock, my whatever you call it. My mom is my everything. So she was supportive. And I was like, if mom is supporting, I'm good. My dad just, it took him some time and to get.
Our experience was no different. People around us freaked out, because my wife, she was
17, yeah. 17 is definitely
when we got married, and she looked 15, and I was 23, but I looked 18. So people were like, "Oh man, these kids are crazy. They're not going anywhere."
Yeah. So I talk about mom guilt, and I'm glad that we have you here as the first. I'm gonna just throw all the questions at you. Do you guys have dad guilt? I mean, for me, going through like school. So I had Sohani when I was in senior in college. I was just getting ready to start grad school. I did 2 masters, and then I went to law school. In my mind, I'm like, I'm so young. She's so little. Like, by the time she understand what's happening, I'll be an attorney. But she understood pretty quickly. And, I was missing rehearsal, dance rehearsal. I was missing games. I was missing parent teacher meeting. I was missing everything. And it killed me. Like, I remember a few episodes ago, I was talking about that. And I said, like, I used to cry every day going to school. Like I'm driving to school because I had a long drive. I had a 2-hour drive. I used to just cry like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible mom. But at the same time, I'm like, I know I'm doing something right. Do men get that or no?
I'm the wrong person to answer this question. I'm gonna tell you why. Even when I was really busy with school, I think no. When I was doing law school, that was different. But before that, I remember every night before law school, I would come home and take the little one. The little one was born in 2010, Maxim.
Okay.
So every night he would wait for me around 6 p.m. and we would go for a walk. And then we would come back around 6:20. 6:20, I would take the other boys and the girl, and we had the tennis competition. Almost every night we had a tennis competition. Sometimes they would invite friends over to have the tennis competition. We would play tennis, and if you lose, you're replaced by someone else. And we went to a lot of family outings. I think the guilt started kicking in really during law school because this is when I worked full time while attending law school. I was for Carnival Cruise Line from 9 a.m. to 5:30. and I went to school from 7 p.m. to 10:15.
Uh-huh.
So after school, 10:15, I would, get home around 11, and this is when I would study from 11 to 1 a.m. So at that moment, I could not see anybody, but I think this is common to everybody who's in law school. You see what I mean? And I think this guilt is um I'm trying to find the right word there. There's a way to see it. It is attenuated by the realization that you're doing that so that you can offer a better life to your progeny. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when you know you're missing life events, but you know that in the long run they will thank you for it because you're in the process of improving the family's outcome and life, collective life.
Yeah. What role has your wife, her name is Sarah, right?
Yeah.
What role has Sarah played in your professional journey?
Oh my God, she has been instrumental in it all. When, for instance, this is a very interesting part. When I went to, first of all, while I was studying for my undergrad, she was doing her undergrad as well. And she helped me with math. We would take math classes together because she can do both languages and math. Now, when I decided to go to law school, she said, I'm gonna stay and support with the kids. And she, played for both of us in the lives of the kids. Now, when I started law school, you know, she was really full time. She did not work because with the boys, you cannot afford to let them loose out there, so she did not work, and I was the one working full time. During I think a few months before my last semester of law school, I said, there are some classes, litigation classes I wanted to take. Those classes were being offered during the day, the night school. So, and I said, there's no way I'm going to graduate without taking those classes. So what I did, I quit my job. I left law school for 9 months. I went to Haiti. I accepted a very good job not in government, in the private sector, and I earned enough money to come back, and I didn't have to work for a while. And this is what allowed me to take my litigation classes during the day to study for the bar without having to work. And after having passed the bar, I had still enough money to wait until I started working as a prosecutor.
Your journey is more interesting than I thought. I mean, quit law school for 9 months, go back to Haiti, come back. That's a lot. It seems like a lot has happened. Looking back, how did becoming a father influence your life as a professional?
Oh my God. I think one thing fatherhood, I would say parenthood, brings to you is empathy. Before I was a father, I think I was harsher on those I met. As a father, particularly when I was working as a prosecutor, um, I tried to see my sons in the youngsters I was dealing with in the justice system. So each time I would come in contact with a youngster was dealing with all kind of things, the effects of drugs, the lack of parental support, and I said to myself, this could have been my son, and what if I had died? This guy could have been my son. And really, as a prosecutor, I tried to give them a second chance. I reached out to their attorneys and I said, you know what? I think this guy is a good guy. Let's work together and offer him a second chance. And when I transitioned to private practice, same thing happened. I remember I had a very interesting case of a young man. He was apprehended because I think the first time it was because he had credit cards, like 7 credit cards, which did not belong to him. He went to Walgreens trying to purchase using those credit cards. And, his mom brought him to me. I spoke with him and I saw so much potential in this young man. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try to save him. And I only did that because I had boys. And I said, this could have been one of my boys. And I remember I gave him a book by John Grisham,
Mhm.
and I had him write a summary of the book for me. And this guy was apprehended 4 times in 6 months.
Oh boy.
I managed to keep him out of jail. And after the fourth time, I communicated all this information to the prosecutor at the time. And I told the prosecutor, I'm working on him. He's reading right now. He's producing work, actual literary work, a book summary. And I hope to get to a better point within a few months.
Mhm.
And I remember the fourth time he was arrested, the judge said, Mr. Julien, this time around is going to serve some time. And the prosecutor was the one to say, Judge, I think Mr. Julien is working on him. Let's give him one last chance. So he was sentenced to house arrest. And at that point, I told him, if you ever get in trouble again, I'm not defending you. It's been 3 years. He's never been in trouble since.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a parent, you have a different way of approaching those cases, because sometimes you see the youngster and you think about your own kids and you say, you know what, I'm going to do everything I can to save this life, provided that by doing so, I'm not endangering other people's lives.
Yeah. What has been the best advice, in your opinion, that you've given your sons?
Oh, quite a few, quite a few. One of them, I talk to them all the time. I tell them about this. Life is really a food chain, you know? Life is a food chain, and pardon me, I'm gonna be blunt. You want to be on top of the food chain, not because you want to be a predator, but because if you're not on top, your life depends on others. But if you are on top, you can extend compassion to those who are below.
Yeah.
So you really have a choice when you're on top of the food chain. This is the way it is. This is American society, more than everywhere else, is a food chain. And I tell them every day, and I have this saying that I used to have in all my offices every morning in Africa. Gazelle wakes up. I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
Yeah.
Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up and know that it must outrun the fastest lion or die.
Yeah.
Lion wakes up and knows that it was outrun the slowest gazelle or starve to death.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle, when the sun comes up,
You gotta choose.
let's be running.
Yeah.
You better be running. You need a good education. You need to be financially stable, but that does not make you better than anybody else. A good education does not make you better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Financial stability does not make you better than anybody else. However, those place you in a position where you can help others. It's better for you to be in a position to be helping others than to be on the other side of the stick where you expecting others to help you, which may not materialize.
Yeah, I agree. What does the word legacy means to you?
Everything I do it for legacy. I think, and this stems from the fact that I'm a deist. You know, I believe in a superior transcendental being. I'm not sure the human mind is sophisticated enough to know who the this being is, but we owe everything to the being, the transcendental being. And it is my opinion that this creator relies on us to do his job in the world. So I think if after spending several decades on this earth, we don't contribute significantly in living it better than we found it, our life would have been a waste. You know, I think we have a way of we all have a duty to live something for the next generations. And it's so much easier done than said. You know, so people think that to leave a legacy, you have to do big things. That's not true. If you decide to plant 20 trees today, this is a legacy. In 50 years, people will be relaxing under your trees. You know, you would have made a contribution to this world because when you came in, those 20 trees were not here. So I think it's important that when we speak with young people, we tell them about this, about legacy.
Yeah.
In 20 years after your death, will people be talking about you? Or even if they're not talking about you, will you have left something in this world that did not exist when you came to the world? I think this is fundamental. This is the essence of life, living a legacy.
I love how you answer that question beautifully. I mean, of course, you're a writer and stuff, so that makes sense. What is one thing that people don't know about you? You are super popular on social media with immigration. I think obviously everyone who knows you professionally know that you are an attorney. You're very popular on social media. A lot of people know you because of immigration. A lot of people know you as a professional, as an attorney specifically. What is one thing that people don't know about you and would be surprised to know?
That's a tough one. I like books. I like words a lot.
Okay.
I have such a memory, such a relationship with words that if I if I'm reading a book and I meet a word in the book that I like, 20, 30 years later, I can tell you exactly, oh, when I'm speaking and I'm using the word, I can
Which book?
using it. I remember in which book I met this word.
Oh my gosh, that's fascinating. That is great.
This is my relationship with words. I like words. And what else? I I think I should have studied marketing because words marketing, there's a close relationship between the law and marketing. When you have a trial, coming up with the right theme is critical to your case. I remember I was taking a class at FIU and we had a mock trial, and there was a lady whose husband was killed, and I was playing the part of the prosecutor, and my point was that the lady had killed the husband. She was the one who had killed her husband, and my theme was members of the jury. This case is about a self-made widow. I remember my professor was a great litigator, the H.T. Smith.
Hmm.
Remember, he told me, Mr. Julien, The next time I get the opportunity, I'm gonna steal this one.
Yes, yes. Well, think
This case is about a self-made widow.
yes, yes. I love it too. I love it. So we are
To finish answering your questions, sometimes I'm embarrassed because I'm watching commercials and I cry. If it's really good, it's really good.
haven't cried on a commercial. I cry a lot for movies. Like
I do that too, movies too, but some commercials are so powerful that, they have this effect on me.
yes, yes. So a couple more questions and we'll wrap this up. What is one misconception that people have about lawyers?
A lot of people think that lawyers are dishonest in nature. Um, I don't know where this comes from, but I think my lawyer friends are among the most ethical people I know.
I would agree.
Law school, they impart so much ethics on people in law school, and a lot of people are already guided by principles of justice and fairness before they get into law school. They are brought to law school sometimes by these principles that I don't know why people tend to think that attorneys are all dishonest. Now, some people don't understand why someone may kill someone and the attorney is, the person pleads not guilty is because the burden is on the state. This needs to meet the burden. But people, I understand lay people will not understand that, but this is for your own protection that the state needs to meet its burden. But I think this is the misconception. The other thing is the only reason I think people may ascribe such a reputation to attorneys is because sometimes, particularly in civil litigation and personal injury, attorneys make decent money out of a case. But people don't realize that without the attorney putting the case together, advocating for the client, you could not have reached those outcomes. I think this is the most regrettable misconception about attorneys.
Yeah. So on that note, the name of the podcast is Lawyers Have Souls Too. If you were to kind of finish that sentence, what would be your answer? Lawyers have souls too because
It's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's rhetorical sentence.
yeah, I mean, I think the idea is that, just talk about the misconception like, we are dishonest, we are not good people, we are liars, we do this, we do that, and not even think about the idea that everybody think we are super strong, we're super powerful, we all have money, that we don't have problems because we know it all, which is not true. So I think again, the idea of this podcast is kind of to show another side of like we go through life just like everybody else. Like, you had a very long journey to be here.
Not only that, people don't understand that. For instance, as an immigration attorney, you're dealing, particularly in these times of ours, you're dealing with a lot of people who bring a lot of sadness to you, and you take portion of it all. You know, at the end, in the aggregate, we pay a heavy toll for that. Because it's like re-injury about the re-injury. You see a client at 10, they dump all their issues on you, which is normal. We signed up for that. And then at 11, you have another one. It's a re-injury. This is why a lot of us are dealing with mental health issues, drugs issues, alcohol issues, because we deal with a lot, because we absorb a portion of all of our clients' issues, and in the aggregate, it takes a toll on us.
Yeah. How do you deal with that?
A lot of meditation. I used to go to the gym. I haven't been able lately. I'm so busy, but I have to change that. But I think meditation and I brush up on my stoicism skills. I think stoicism is a school of thought that can be particularly useful to lawyers. I tend to go back to my books. Seneca is a good writer, a good author to make friends with. I think that's the way I do it.
Yeah, this was beautiful. I can talk to you all day, but obviously we have to wrap this up. Last words.
I want to thank you, Winnie, for everything, for having me on the show and for everything you're doing. I know you do a lot in this community. You extremely popular in our community, and there's a reason for that. People trust you, and I strongly recommend not only your show but your practice as well. You make a difference in people's lives.
Oh, thank you. And obviously, I can say the same for you. You are one of the best, one of the greats. And thank you so much for coming in here. How do we follow you? How do people reach out to you? Where can we find you for those of you who don't know?
Frandley Julien, the name is on the screen. If you go on TikTok is Your Haitian Attorney. The handle is Your Haitian Attorney. Everywhere else is just Frandley Julien. People go on Facebook, on Instagram, and they'll find me.
All right. And again, for in case they miss it, what do you practice?
Oh, immigration, personal injury, criminal defense.
All right, perfect. And if you are watching, just so you know, immigration, he will be able to serve anyone in all 50 states and outside of the U.S. And then the other two practices are strictly for Florida. Thank you so, so much, Attorney Julien, for being here. I really appreciate this. This was so, so amazing. I learned a lot that I didn't know. That's why we have this conversation. And thank you for sharing your time with us. And until next time, we'll see you again.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, guys. So that was another episode of Lawyers Have Souls 2. This was great. I think he did good for the first man. On whoever's coming next, you need to be ready. He dropped some gems. The answer about what legacy meant to him and his journey was just amazing. These are the type of guests that I want to bring in. Real, authentic, great stories, leaving you with something. I am your host, Winnie Jean-Pierre, and this was Lawyers Have Souls 2. Take care. Until next time. Bye-bye.